I think it's important to try to help people in whatever way you can, whatever small difference you can make in people's lives. I feel like at times we don't realize how important we really are, how much of a difference we really can make. Because it's always the small things that truly add up in people's lives. Like if you just decide to be the kind of person who comes around and brings positivity with you where you go, and decides to try to make a positive impact in people's lives, you genuinely can make such a positive impact. And it's not always a selfless thing necessarily and completely. Sometimes, you help people because it feels good to be of service. It feels good to feel like you've done something for the world, like when you give some money to a homeless person, not only do you put a smile on their face, but you kind of put a smile on your own face because you're like, wow, like I did something that made the world a better place, and you feel better about yourself. And that sort of act of kindness can be a reason to keep pushing forward and to get through the dark moments in your life. It's like you don't really realize how good it feels to give. Everyone has felt, receiving. Everyone has felt some amount of like waking up on Christmas morning and opening all your presents and seeing the look on your parents' faces as they smile and as you tear open this new game console or whatever it is. And as a kid, I almost felt bad in that moment a little bit because I'm like, wow, they all do so much for us and give us these presents and they don't get anything from any of us. But as I've gotten older, I've started to realize that they were almost happier than we were. They were almost more excited than we were because they were so happy to be able to do this thing for the people they care about and to be of service and to just see how happy and excited we were. And it almost made it all worth it for them, It almost made it like an enjoyable, exciting experience the same way it was for us. And I started to realize that if you're in a dark place, if you're really struggling with something and you feel like you want the sort of person in your life that comes around and they have this level of positivity and this desire to help, like I've, in my darkest moments, been looking for someone like that, and I realized that by trying to be that person instead, by trying to be that for others, by helping others even when I'm in my darkest moments, I've felt better. And this is easier said than done, obviously. Like, there's so many obstacles in the way of putting yourself out there like that, and it isn't easy, it isn't very rewarding at times, but I found that it really has helped me in a big way personally, and it could, be the case that it would help other people also. It's like, in those moments, maybe you feel like you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough love to give, you've just been drained and beaten down by the world. But in a way, because you've been through that, you can relate to people, you can see people in a similar position and have empathy and try to reach out to them in a way that other people might not be able to. And I promise that if you're suffering and you are hurt, there are other people who feel the same way and they want help and they feel like they're not getting it. And who better to help someone in that situation than someone who can understand? And together, maybe you can help and, be of service, and it'll make you feel better too. And it's really just, we're social animals, we live and die in a society. We survive off it and we have no choice. And so it's sort of like giving into that society, being of service can be incredibly rewarding. It's almost like everything we do, whether we realize it or not, is ultimately for the greater good of the world. Like if you're an incredibly good piano player or a good dancer or a published author or any of these things, it's sort of like you've mastered something for society. You've become incredibly good at something and you've been rewarded for it through this career you've developed for yourself. But the reason you've been rewarded, the reason that you're able to make a career out of this is because it's a benefit to society. Because someone saw this dance you put on and it really touched them, or this song you played on the piano, or this book you wrote. And so whether we realize it or not, maybe we're doing it for ourselves, but ultimately we're rewarded for things that are for the good of society. And when you realize that, and you realize that we're a social species, and we sort of have this giant group-like interconnected society that's all based on helping people, and the money goes where the value is, then you can almost make a decision, even in a small way, within your own life, to just want to make the world a better place. Want to just give and, dedicate your life to helping people in whatever way that takes. It's like, look at somebody like Mr. Beast. It seems like every video he makes, everything he does, is just about making the world a better place. It's about, taking this money that he earns from viewerships and sponsors and everything, and trying to, give back to the community in a way, like do challenges and buy houses for his subscribers, and just improves the lives of people who, that money is really life-changing for them. And maybe we're not all Mr. Beast, maybe we don't have the resources and, the scale to make the world a better place, but even just in your own life, with the people you're close with, people who are hurting and need help, sometimes it feels like, who am I to step into this person's life when they're hurting and try to help them? Like, who am I to, say what they should do, or even just be a shoulder for them to cry on? But it's like, really, we do have that power, and really, we can make such a difference in people's lives. Like, just being that sort of person, you could genuinely save people's lives. You could be one of those few things that they look forward to every day and keeps them going and keeps them on the right track. Like, whatever small difference you can make is worth making, compared to just living in this own bubble, and compared to just living in this bubble of your own life and your own consequences of your own actions. It's like, in a way, if you are able to change someone in a big, profound way, they may go on to try to do the same. They may go on to see that light of helping people and trying to improve the world, and they'll, spread that outwards. They'll help somebody else, and through the butterfly effect, in a way, even at a small scale, you can begin to change the world. And I think most people don't have the conscious thought, like the desire that, they're dedicating themselves and their life to making the world a better place. Most people don't consciously think about that, but yet in a way, they are a good person, and genuinely that is a desire they have. Just, they don't give themselves the credit to think that that's something they could participate in. Even like this little YouTube channel I have, I don't have any grand aspirations for it becoming a career necessarily, or, helping hundreds of millions of people or anything. Even 100,000 would be insane. But even as it is now, even as the difference I can make with the resource I have in this moment is better than just living in this bubble and not being of service at all. It's like, in a way, if I were to die tomorrow, if I were to get in some sort of accident, what would be the things I was proud of? What would be the contributions I made to this world that I was a part of for this set amount of time? And truly, this channel and certain things that, I've done with my friends are the only things that I'd be incredibly proud of. They'd be things that I would have left behind that made a positive impact on people's lives. It's like with certain friends, I may have, because of who I was and the effort I was trying to make, I may have helped them work through tough times, and they're a better person for it, and they have some amount of gratitude towards me for that, and that feels really nice. Whether you believe in the idea of karma or not, I do believe that in some energetic sense, when you do good for the world, it comes around, whether it's in a social sense or whether it's just an internal feeling of how you perceive yourself. Like, giving back, helping people does make a difference. And with this channel, it keeps me motivated, because I know that it's not about numbers on a screen. It's not about, making it a career someday. Like, I don't do it for any, like, grand aspiration of, anything in return. I just want to know that at least I'm trying to help people. And as long as you are doing something with the intention to improve somebody's life in some way, then however much you succeed at that, it has a lot of meaning. It's like, there's certain things where throughout my life, I feel like I'd put a lot of effort into and tried at, and, I didn't end up succeeding in a massive way, and so it felt kind of like pointless. Like, why did I put all this effort in? But everything I've committed time to that helped people, even if it didn't, expand into the greatest possible, timeline of that specific thing, just the fact that it helped anyone at all made it so that it wasn't a failure, really. If you help one person at least, then it wasn't a failure, because you were only one person, so you haven't, in a way, doubled this emotion, doubled this experience of happiness that you were trying to impart upon others. And there's no true just happiness in every possible moment, every day of your life, but just giving someone the joy in the moment to be able to laugh and, distance themselves from their problems a little bit. Maybe you don't have to walk up to someone and be like, yo, like, let's talk about all your trauma, but just being someone that comes around and decides to be optimistic and has a smile on their face and cracks a silly joke, Everyone needs a person like that in your life, and you might as well be that people for others because everyone loves that person in their life. Everyone thinks about that person, they're like, yeah, well, at least if I'm around them, I'll be cheered up. And I think there's a lot of advantage to having that. We need more people like that in the world, and so I think more of you should try to be that person. I tried to be that person, I was naturally sort of a quiet kid in school. I didn't interact very much, but at a certain point, I really tried to make the effort to be kind of like a class clown, to get to know people and be very socially outgoing and try to just almost unite this grade and this group I was a part of to be closer and have more meaningful friendships by just starting to break down those barriers a little bit and advocate for, that deeper level of connection and friendship and just genuinely just being someone they look forward to seeing at school. Like I would have people tell me, you were sick the other day and school was slightly worse because there wasn't someone, cracking jokes in third period. And so I would examine your life and the difference you've made in the lives of others and think about what you would do if your time was limited. And I think most people, if their time was limited, they would realize that all that matters is people and the difference you can make in each other's lives. And so we ought to live with that in mind. We ought to live trying to make as big a difference as we can, because what else is worth living for, truly? And with that, I'll leave you guys off.